What's good, everyone? Welcome to Summon the Pack. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jake, and we are in Commander 2019 season. Yay! Now, it's Thursday as of the recording of this video. I'm going to try to get this up tonight, a day ahead of release. I was lucky enough to get the set of the latest Commander decks. I'm going to go through each of them, but I'll probably do it over a series of videos. In this one, I think I'll open two, kind of walk through, just show you what's inside, talk about them a little bit, what I like, what some of the new cards maybe, and yeah, it'll be a pretty light video. But yeah, so let's get started. I think right now I'm going to do Faceless Menace and Intellect. Ooh, that was a tough word to say for some reason. And I'll save these two, Primal Genesis and Merciless Rage, for another video or two. So let's get cracking into these and see what's inside. So I am a huge, as those of you that have seen the channel before, I've been constantly talking about cards that work well in EDH and Oathbreaker too. I'm a big fan of. But so Commander season is a very exciting time for me. I love the new Commander decks. Typically, there's something in all of them that kind of gets me going. So in all of them, for those of you that haven't purchased a Commander's deck set before, you get this oversized kind of face of the deck card, which is kind of cool. They don't serve much use. Actually, hold on one sec. Let me show you something. All right, sorry about that. So I wanted to show you these larger cards aren't actually completely useless. So you can see here, this is a Brea oversized card, and you can actually do something kind of cool with them. You can make regular Magic size, kind of custom cut down, kind of full art cards out of them. So I did that with this Brea. You can see here, you obviously lose quite a bit of the art, but still kind of keep the same feel of the card. And then you can even cut out the text on the, and that's what I did. I cut out the text, put it on the back there, and yeah, so it's kind of cool. You can do that. You use the foil peel method, and I won't get into that, but you can. There's lots of videos on how to do that. I actually took some of the top border off here so I could get even more of the art. But yeah, you should look that up if you have any interest in doing that. It's kind of a cool little thing to do. Anyways, let's get back to this. So we get the oversized card here, and then you get this little box. This pamphlet talks about the deck, playing the deck, the primary commanders, secondary commanders, a little rules sheet. And then it looks like some background story type stuff there. So, all right, and then it's this little box. I don't really do anything with this. It's kind of cheap and flimsy, and I sleeve my cards, my decks, so kind of useless. And then here's the deck. It's cracked open. All right, and we'll kind of go through a little chunk at a time. So here's the main commander, Kadena Slinking Sorcerer. Now this is actually seems like a pretty sweet commander for this Sultai Morph deck. The first face down creature spell you cast each turn costs 3 less. Whenever a face down creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Now morph creatures you play face down and they cost 3. But if they cost 3 less, you just play your first morph every turn for free, which is pretty awesome. You play them for free, you draw a card, and then you have all your mana still. So that's pretty awesome. Rayami, First of the Fallen. If a non-token creature would die, exile that card with a blood counter on it instead, as long as an exiled creature card with a blood counter on it has flying. Rami has flying. The same is true for first strike, double strike, death touch, etc., etc., etc. So that's kind of sweet. Volrath, I'm super excited about this because Volrath is a character from the old days of Magic, so that's kind of cool. They turned Volrath into a into a pretty solid legendary creature today. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a -1/-1 counter on up to one target creature. And then you pay 1 until your next turn. Volrath, the Shape Stealer, becomes a copy of target creature with a counter on it, except it's 7/5 and has this ability, so that's kind of sweet. And then some tokens. Saproling Manifest. Looks like they're all double-sided, so that's very helpful. Double-sided with Morph, obviously, since this is a Morph deck. Oh, here's one with Plant and Snake. Plant and Snake, alright. Leadership Vacuum. This one is, it's a new card, very spicy. Target player returns each commander they control from the battlefield to the command zone. Draw a card. So it's like a commander board wipe almost. That's pretty sweet, and you get to draw a card out of it. It's an instant. Mire in Misery. This is pretty significant because black finally has a way to deal with enchantments, so that's kind of pretty cool. A little green card draw. Scare Tiller. This one seems kind of exciting. Like, you might be able to do some silly stuff with this. It costs 4, which isn't great, but whenever it becomes tapped, you can choose one. Put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, or return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So that's pretty cool. For the lands matter decks, definitely care about this. Echoing Truth, great reprint. Reality Shift, pretty cool. Tezzer's Gambit, that's great. Willbender. When it's turned face up, change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. That's pretty good morph. Skin Thinner. Enoch Survivalist. Cultivate, it's a great reprint. Farseek's good reprint. Let's see. Not going to talk about all of these. Sakura Tribe Elder. It's great that they reprinted this. It's much needed. It did get a reprint in like Conspiracy, I think. This is the first printing of this art that isn't a promo though, so that's kind of cool. Pretty happy with that. Let's see what else. Secret Planet, Stoltite Charm, Urban Evolution, Soul Ring, of course. The the must include in every commander deck. Throwing Dynamorphs, a little more ramp. There's some land randomly inserted there. Kadina's Silencer. Let's see. When Kadina's Silencer is turned face up, counter all abilities your opponents control with Megamorph. So that's kind of cool. Megamorph is the same thing as Morph, except when it turns face up, you get a +1/+1 counter on it. Sudden Substitution. Split second, so that means that as long as it's on the stack, nothing else can be added to the stack until it resolves. Exchange control of target non-creature spell and target creature. Then that spell's controller may choose new targets for it. That's kind of cool. Thought Sponge has Flash. Enters the battlefield with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the greatest number of cards an opponent has drawn this turn. When it dies, draw cards equal to its power. That's pretty sweet. So if your opponent's like going off or maybe partially going off, or just drawing a bunch of cards being stupid, it comes in as a pretty big creature, and then when it dies, you just get to draw a bunch of cards yourself. Gift of Doom. This is kind of exciting. It's a morph that's an enchantment, an enchant creature. So enchanted creature has Death Touch and Indestructible. That's pretty sweet. To morph it, you sacrifice another creature, and as it's turned face up, you attach to a creature. So that's kind of sweet. Thieving Amalgam. At the beginning of your opponent's upkeep, you may manifest the top card of that player's library. Whenever a creature you control whenever a creature you control but don't own dies, its owner loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Okay. Apex Altosaur. It's a big old dino, 9 cost for 10/10. Fights up to 1 creature you don't control. That's kind of sweet. Road to Return. This card I'm actually pretty excited about. Costs 2 green. You choose one. So these multi-mode cards are always, not always, but they're typically pretty good and playable. So you return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, or put your commander into your hand from the command zone, and it's entwined too, so you can actually do both modes. Now this is kind of significant because, especially the second mode, because if you've played your commander maybe twice already, you're on your third time, that's an additional 6 mana to play him. So being able to just put him into your hand, you just get to cast him for his casting cost again. So that's kind of cool. Grismold the Dreadsour. How awesome is that art, by the way? That's pretty spicy. Trample. At the beginning of your end step, each player creates a 1/1 green plant creature token. Whenever a creature token dies, put a +1/+1 counter on it. That's on this guy. It's pretty cool. Pendant of Prosperity. Enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice control. You pay 2, tap, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Its owner draws a card, then also puts that can put a land from their hand into the battlefield. That's kind of cool. Scroll of Fate. You tap it, manifest a card from your hand. That's pretty cool. Cost 3. You just tap it and put it into the battlefield as like a free morph almost. Ghastly Conscription. This is our first mythic, I think, out of here. Exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard in a face-down pile. Shuffle that pile, then manifest those cards. That's kind of fun. Deathmist Raptor. This is a reprint from Dragons of Tarkir, I want to say. This was a powerhouse of a card when it was in Standard. So I was kind of excited to see. Hooded Hydra. Vrask the Unseen. It's a great Planeswalker. Happy to see that reprinted here. This is a big old crab. Cost 5, 3/3 with Morph. When it's turned face up, you may exchange control of target creature you control and target creature and opponent controls. So that's kind of fun. As Ixodron enters the battlefield, turn all other non-token creatures face down. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of face-down creatures on the battlefield. That could be pretty huge, considering you are manifesting cards or playing morphs as it is. Karu Spell Snatcher, it's a reprint. Stratus Dancer, 1,000 Winds. Vesuvian Shapeshifter, this is kind of fun. Cost 5. As it enters the battlefield or is turned face up, you may choose another creature on the battlefield. If you do, until end of turn, it's turned face down, becomes a copy of that creature, except at the beginning of your upkeep, you may turn this creature face down. Cost 2 to morph. That's kind of fun. Bane of the Living. Ooh, here's a fun little board wipe. Cost 4. It's a 4/3. Its morph cost is X black black. When it is turned face up, all creatures get -X until end of turn. So that's kind of fun. As a nice little like board wipe. Grim Hairspecs is a great reprint. Hex. Wow, that's fun. Destroy 6 target creatures. Silumgar Assassin. Den Protector. Another powerhouse reprint of a card. Let's see. Overwhelming Stampede. Seaborn Muse. Now this was a pretty anticipated reprint. I know I was pretty excited to see this reprinted. You untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. So your lands, your creatures, your artifacts. It's pretty awesome. Tempter the Discovery is a great card. Definitely use that in your green decks. A little Saproling Lord. Trail of Mystery. Biomass Mutation. Bounty of Luxa. Sagumalar is a great card in, what was it, Cons or Dragons or one of those. Strionic Resonator. It's another reprint. It's pretty good. Darkwater Catacomb. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know that I've seen this card before. So you pay 1 and tap it, and then you add blue-black. Exotic Orchard is a great commander card. You tap it, add 1 mana of any color that's a land that a land an opponent controls could produce. I mean, you're playing with 3 other people typically. If they're playing 2 or 3 color decks, you basically just get this as like Wooburg. Land of War Waste, that's a great one. Shrine of the Forsaken Gods is good. Sunken Hollow, nice. Ooh, Thespian Stage, this is a good one too. You can pay 2 and have it become the copy of target land, except it has this ability. So you just make it the best land on the field. You have My Coast is great. Here's some more basics. Ash Barrens is nice little, it taps for Wingding and then you can cycle it away. Bajuka Bog's great. Stopso is a graveyard shenanigans. Command Tower, obviously it's Commander staple, and that's because you tap it for a mana of your commander's color identity. So Sultai, you just all the colors that you care about that land will produce. Demir Aqueduct, Evolving Wilds, Follow Orchard, Golgari, Guildgate, Rot Farm, Jungle Hollow, Myriad Landscape. This is another really great one. Nice little ramp spell. Enter it's tapped, but you can pay 2 and sack it. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards that share a land type. Put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So that's good. A little tri-land. Enter it's tapped. Reliquary Tower is a great one. Let's see. Oh, Temple of the False Gods. This is also a really good one. You taps to add 2 colorless mana. Of course, you can only usually have 5 more lands, but it's not a bad holdback for what it does. So that is this deck. Pretty exciting. I'm pretty happy with it. I think there's some really great cards in it. Excited to build around this and mess around with it. I put together an Animar deck, which was like the premier morph deck, but I didn't do it with morphs. I did it with Hydras and X spells and Unbound Flourishing, that reprint or that new printing in Modern Horizons. So anyway, that's this one. Let's get into Mystic Intellect. Kind of see what we are getting out of this deck. And the fun thing about these decks, guys, is you can play them right out of the package. Now, there's definitely a power disparity between them. They're not all like perfectly equal, but I think you're not getting so blown out by one over the other that it's not fun. So if you have, they release 4 decks, you have 3 friends, just go out, each get a deck and can have some fun with it, which is one of the other things I love about these. So let's see. So here's the face of the deck. Savine the Chronoclasm. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to Savine. When you cast your first instant or sorcery spell from your graveyard each turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. That's kind of cool. There's this is the flashback deck. So there's cards that you'll be casting from your graveyard that have flashback. When you cast them, you just get to copy it again. It's kind of cool. Elsha of the Infinite. See, prowess. When you look at the top, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's a non-creature, non-land card, and you may cast it as though it had flash. So that's pretty sweet. Maybe you want that as your actual commander instead. Pramakan Sky Rampart. 1/5 wall, flying defender. As Pramakan Sky Rampart enters the battlefield, choose left or right. Each player may attack only the nearest opponent in the chosen direction and planeswalkers controlled by that opponent. So that's kind of a weird, fun little mechanic. And then you've got some, look at that Pegasus art. That's pretty sweet. It's fun little, oh man, these human tokens are pretty awesome too. Wow. Like that. Oh, and these Drake. Yeah, these tokens are fantastic. Treasure tokens, more humans. All right. Those out of the way. Cliffside Rescuer. Let's see. You can tap it, sacrifice it. Target permanent you control gains protection from each of your opponents until end of turn. So that's kind of cool. You tap it, sacrifice it, and protect permanent from your opponents. All your opponents, really. Leadership Vacuum again. That's pretty awesome. Bloodthirsty Blade. This is a fun little card. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and is goaded. So it attacks each combat if able and attacks a player other than you. So you put it on your opponent's creature. You pay 1, attach Bloodthirsty Blade to target creature and opponent controls. And you make your opponent attack another player with, say, their commander. And they're not attacking you, so that's kind of fun. Scaretiller, Ghostly Prism, that's great. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. So that's pretty fun. Good little reprint. Look at the art on that. That's pretty awesome. It's 2 2 colors and a white. Prevent all damage that sources of the color of your choice would deal this turn. That has flashback. Tap an untapped white creature you control. That's pretty awesome. The flashback is super cheap. Let's see. Putrefy the Grave. That's not very exciting. Grave Distortion. This card, what does that wand look like to you guys, really? I mean, is he just holding like a giant mutated sperm or what? Yeah. Anyways. Not a great card. Insight, Deep Analysis, Factor Fiction, okay. Fervent Denial, not great. I don't even know. Counter target spell, and then the flashback costs 7? What? Gross. This is a bad card. Mystic Retrieval, Una's Grace, okay. Fun little reprint. Yeah, no. Secrets of the Dead. That's a fun little card, I guess. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, draw a card. Think twice, nice. Yeah, Desperate Ravens, Faithless Looting, okay. Obviously would want that in this deck. Gutter Snipe's great. Crackling Drake. Farm Market. Armillary Sphere, it's also very sweet art. Search your library for up to 2 basic lands, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. It's not great, but it's okay. Seen these. Mandate of Peace. Cast a spell only during combat. Your opponents can't cast spells this turn. End the combat phase. That's a weird little card, but fun. Savine's Reclamation. Return target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If this spell was cast from a graveyard, you may copy the spell and choose new targets for it. Flashback cost is 5. Return target permanent card from your graveyard. Converted mana cost 3 or less. Yeah, alright. Thalia's Geist Caller. It's actually pretty sweet. Look at that art. Okay. Lifelink 3/1. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying, and then you sacrifice it. Sacrifice a spirit, and this gains indestructible until end of turn. So that's kind of cool. Mass Diminish. Until your next turn, creatures target player controls have base power and toughness 1/1 when it has flashback. That's fine. This is an interesting card. It costs 4. It's 0/0. You may have Wall of Stolen Identity enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a wall in addition to its other types and has Defender. When you do, tap the copied creature, and it does not untap during its controller's untap step for as long as you control Wall of Stolen Identity. So it locks down a creature. You get a copy of their best creature, probably like their commander or something else that has a fantastic static ability. And then, yeah, the static ability doesn't really matter, though, because they still get their creature as a static. Yeah, I don't know. This is a weird card. Backdraft Hellkite costs 5, 4/4 flying, big old dragon. Whenever it attacks, each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback. The flashback is equal to its mana cost. That's alright, I guess. Dockside Extortionist. Now this is one of the, I think might be just the most expensive card out of this particular deck. Costs 2. It's 1/2. Whenever it enters the battlefield, create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control. That's pretty amazing. Now, the treasure tokens are artifacts. You can tap them and sacrifice them to add a mana of any color to your mana pool. In Commander, your opponents are going to have some artifacts and probably maybe some enchantments. Definitely some artifacts, though. I could easily see this producing anywhere from like 3 to 8, 9, 10 mana pretty easily. So that's pretty great. You cost 2, and then you're like, oh, here's 7 mana. And they're artifacts, which could also definitely matter. So very excited for this card. Ignite the Future. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may play those cards. If the spell is cast from a graveyard, you may play cards this way without paying their mana cost. Flashback is 8. That's interesting. Gerard. This is another little throwback card that I was kind of excited to see them print a character from, again, the olden days of Magic. So it's 3/3 first strike. When he dies, exile it and return to the battlefield all artifacts and creatures in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. So it's an interesting little card. What is this? Empowered Auto Generator. Enters tapped, put a charge counter on it. Add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of charge counters on it. This is just asking to be broken. I'm sure it already has. I just haven't read into it yet. Pristine Angel. Oh, this art also is fantastic. Cost 6, 4/4 Flying Angel. As long as it is untapped, it gains protection from artifacts and from all colors. Whenever you cast a spell, you can untap it. That's pretty sweet. Sun Titan. Ooh, this is a great reprint. Clever Impersonator. This is another great reprint. Ral Zarek. Great to see Ral in this deck. Divine Reckoning. Each player chooses a creature they control. Destroy the rest. That's okay, I guess. Dusk to Dawn. Increasing Devotion. Storm Herd. This is a funny little card. Costs 10. You create X 1/1 white Pegasus creature tokens with flying, where X is your life total. Now, keep in mind, you start the game with 40 life in Commander. Not that you're going to be playing this when you still have 40 life, but if you were, that would be pretty sweet, right? Zetalpa. Oh, man. Talk about a beater. Jace's Sanctum. Instant sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, scry 1. That's a fun little card. River Kelpie. This was definitely needing a reprint. It's good to see it printed here. Whenever another permanent enters the battlefield from a graveyard, draw a card. Whenever a player casts a spell from a graveyard, draw a card. And it has Persist. So this is like a staple in like a Muldrotha deck, right? Because you're doing both. You're getting permanents from your graveyard, and you're casting spells from your graveyard. So it's like you replay your Elephant in the Grass or whatever from your graveyard, and you're drawing 2 cards. So that's pretty amazing. Tolerand, Devil's Play, Increasing Vengeance. What is this? Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. If this spell was cast from a graveyard, copy that spell twice, and you can choose new copies for it. That's kind of cool. Magma Quake. I'm a huge fan of Magma Quake. Maybe it's just my meta or my playgroup, but red X. It deals X damage to each creature without flying and each planeswalker. That's pretty sweet. Pristine Skywise. Okay. Refuse and Cooperate. Exotic Orchard. All right, now we're getting to the lands. Talked about Exotic Orchard. Prairie Stream is a good reprint. Oh, Commander Sphere is great. Is it Locket? Soul Ring, yes. Basics. Kind of weird the order they put these in, right? Ash Barrens, Azorius Chancery, Boris Garrison, Boris Guildgate, Command Tower, nice. Highland Lake, Boilerworks, Guildgate, Myriad Landscape, nice. Mystic Monastery, Stone Quarry, Swiftwater Cliffs, Temple of False Gods, sweet. Yeah, they definitely did a better job with lands in this set than they did in 2018. So there's the kind of quick, not so quick walkthrough of Commander 2019, the first 2 decks. I'll put up videos of the other ones. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. It's a huge help if you like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. You know the drill. Anyways, if you like this video, definitely check out my other videos. They're more typical openings. They run a little bit faster, but thought I'd share the decks in case people were interested in seeing the cards kind of on screen instead of just on the list. But until the next one, my friends, I will see you later. Take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.